Throttling up, 3 engines now at 104%.
Challenger.
The worst disaster in the history of spaceflight. The Space Shuttle Challenger blows apart, killing all 7 people on board.
1 minute, 15 seconds. Velocity.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It was a nightmare, a cruel, shocking end to what everyone expected to be another triumph for the Space Shuttle program. The Space Shuttle Challenger, with a school teacher and 6 regular astronauts on board, was consumed by a giant fireball less than 2 minutes after it was launched into bright blue Florida skies at 11:38 Eastern Time this morning. The path to space was filled with debris and death. All 7 people were killed. High technology, which we take so often for granted, turned on us. It was a tremendous blow, a loss so cruel, so unexpected that we're still trying to deal with it. The victims: Flight Commander Francis Dick Scobie. He'd flown in Vietnam. He was 46 years old. He leaves a wife and 2 children. Navy Commander Michael Smith, the pilot, also saw action in Vietnam, 40 years old. He leaves a wife and 3 children. Mission Specialist Ronald McNair, a physicist, was 36 years old, a wife and 2 children. Lieutenant Colonel Ellison Onizuka was an Air Force test pilot, 39 years old. He leaves a wife and 2 children. Electrical engineer Dr. Judith Resnick, 36 years old, a veteran astronaut. She was single. Payload specialist Gregory Jarvis was an engineer for Hughes Aircraft, 41 years old. He leaves a wife. And of course, the 7th crew member, New Hampshire schoolteacher Krista McAuliffe, 37 years old. She leaves a husband and 2 children. They died today in the worst accident ever to befall space explorers anywhere. NBC's Dan Molina was covering the launch from the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
It was a bitter cold but sparkling clear morning at Cape Canaveral. Here at the last seconds of the countdown.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
All the communications between the shuttle and mission control indicated everything was going fine. There was a sense of relief that the much-delayed flight was finally underway.
Engines at 65%, 3 engines running normally, 3 good fuel cells, 3 good APUs. Engines throttling up, 3 engines now at 104%.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
It happened just over 1 minute into flight.
1 minute, 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
From mission control, silence. Then the bland, chilling report.
We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded. Flight director confirms that. We are looking at checking with the recovery forces to see what can be done at this point.
Slow motion. A search effort couldn't begin for some 15 minutes after this. Debris, they said, just kept raining from the sky. The head of the Space Shuttle program had no explanations, just sorrow at the tragedy.
At 11:40 a.m. this morning, space program experienced a national tragedy with the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger approximately a minute and a half after launch from here at the Kennedy Space Center.
Computer-enhanced video shows the explosion in detail. One explosion appears to happen at the rear of the spacecraft, around the main engines, perhaps in one of the 2 solid rocket boosters. Then a blast higher up. The shuttle was instantly a blazing fireball. NASA has appointed a committee of top engineers and scientists to investigate the catastrophe. Orders have been issued to impound all records concerning the flight, down to the personal notes of all the flight controllers. Dan Molina, NBC News at the Johnson Space Center, Houston.
And from ground level on Cape Canaveral, today's disaster was witnessed by thousands of people. Among them were space officials, technicians, and the families of the astronauts. Steve Delaney was on the scene to cover the launch for NBC News.
The day began in optimism and high spirits after the frustration of yesterday's scrubbed countdown. As the crew suited up to enter the Challenger, one of the technicians there revived an old schoolboy tradition and brought an apple to the teacher. For the McAuliffe family and the families of the other 6 crew members, this was to be a triumphant day. Grace and Ed Corrigan of Framingham, Massachusetts were in the VIP bleachers along with their daughter Lisa to watch their daughter Krista become the school teacher in space. Their faces mirrored what happened a little more than a minute into the flight.
Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction.
The families have been secluded in the astronauts' quarters at the Space Center since just after the accident. In nearby Titusville, where the manned space program is the economy, the shock hit hard.
I just started crying and backed up and walked away because I knew it was really bad.
I wondered if anybody could be salvaged, you know, from something like that. That was really the first thing that went through my head.
Vice President George Bush arrived here late in the day, heading a delegation bearing the nation's condolences to the families.
You must try to understand that spirit, bravery, and commitment are what make not only the space program, but all of life worthwhile. We must never, as people in our daily lives or as a nation, stop exploring, stop hoping, stop discovering. We must press on.
There was a search in the Atlantic, but the searchers found so little that late in the afternoon, NASA conceded there was no indication of survivors. But that conclusion had been foreshadowed an hour earlier when the flag at the launch site was lowered to half-staff. Steve Delaney, NBC News at the Kennedy Space Center.
NBC science correspondent Robert Bazell has been covering the space shuttle flight since this program began. He's at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena tonight. And Bob, we were talking earlier, you were a friend of Dick Scobie. He had a premonition that something like this would happen someday, didn't he?
That's right, Tom. Dick Scobie worked with us on several of the missions, and in one in particular, I remember him telling me that one of these days the space shuttle was going to blow up. He said it was a large, complex piece of machinery with a lot of explosives, enough to get it going to 17,000 miles an hour to get it into orbit. He said, just like if you've taken enough airplane flights and eventually an airplane is going to crash, he said someday that's going to happen to the space shuttle. And he said, I certainly hope that when that does happen, it doesn't bring the shuttle program to an end.
Well, what about that? Do you think that the shuttle program obviously now has been frozen in place for a time? Do you think that we'll have to re-examine the whole concept of the shuttle?
Well, certainly they're going to have to find out what happened, and until they can allow another shuttle flight to go up, and that is going to bring the entire shuttle program to a halt until they do. Right now they're beginning a process called failure analysis, where they will try in detail, looking at those pictures we've just seen, looking at other pictures, looking at all the data that came from the spacecraft, to try to learn what went wrong, to try, if possible, in some laboratory to recreate the accident. One of the hypotheses, and it's just a hypothesis we've learned, is that a piece of fan in the main engine came apart, a piece of metal, and that flew into the main fuel tank. That's one of the very strong possibilities right now, but as I said, it's only a hypothesis, and it'll take a lot of analysis to find out exactly what the problem was.
Okay, Bob, and that main fuel tank, of course, contains 500,000 gallons of highly volatile liquid oxygen and hydrogen, and so it is an explosive bomb, in effect, that is propelling the shuttle into space. Our coverage of this space shuttle disaster will continue with reports on the men and women who lost their lives today, the reaction of President Reagan, and the school children that Krista McAuliffe left behind.
You won't believe
how great it holds
your lower dentures.
It's extra hold for lowers.
You won't believe how great it holds your lower dentures.
It's extra hold, and it's new from Fast Teeth. You won't believe how great it holds your lowers.
You've been traded, Rolaids. For acid and gas, your performance is not up to tempo.
For better relief from acid and gas, switch to Soft Tempo. With 75% more acid-relieving medicine than the leading tablet. Switch to better relief. Switch to Soft Tempo.
Teamwork is what built America. And now teamwork has come to American banking. Local savings institutions bringing you banking nationwide, yet keeping decisions close to home. For banking that's powerful and personal, team up with us, the member near you of First Nationwide Network.
Dear Dad, just got back from my interview with Dow. Sounds like my kind of research. Finding new ways to grow more food, ways to help sick people. I'm going to go for it, Dad. And I'm going to try to make you proud.
Yes, you can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
Love, David.
'Cause God lets you do great things.
Her little girl had said that she didn't want her mummy to go up in space. But Krista McAuliffe was a teacher, and a ride on the shuttle was the ultimate field trip. She wanted to bring the wonder and excitement of space back to her high school students in Concord, New Hampshire. And as NBC's Fred Briggs reports, they were waiting and watching today.
Her students were counting down with her.
8 engines start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
When they saw the explosion, there was confusion. Was something wrong? The principal and teachers weren't certain either. Then it got very quiet as the horror of it began to register.
Would everybody please go back to class at this time?
They did go back for a while, but at 1 o'clock, school was closed. It had to close.
I felt as if my whole body blew up inside when I saw that. And I can just never be as shocked as I am now.
The students went home while the faculty and principal, Krista McAuliffe's colleagues, tried to collect themselves.
We were enjoying the entire event. We were celebrating with her. Then it stopped. That's all. It just stopped.
She had talked to her students in recent months about reaching for the stars. And now those students, members of the faculty, and her friends are reaching deep within themselves and trying to understand. Her training for the mission was shared with her students. She once told them that space exploration was in the future of every child. It was that kind of positive philosophy that led to her selection. She was one of 10 teachers chosen as finalists.
It's not often that a teacher is at a loss for words. I know my students wouldn't think so.
When she left her husband and 2 children in New Hampshire for Houston, her 6-year-old daughter Caroline wasn't very happy about it. Why wasn't she?
Because I don't want to go in space, because I just want to stay around my house.
But she wanted to go for her family, her friends, her students, and the teachers who were runners-up.
When that shuttle goes, there might be one body. But there's going to be 10 souls that I'm taking with me.
Fred Briggs, NBC News, Concord, New Hampshire.
Last July, in an interview with New York radio station WNBC, Krista McAuliffe was asked if she had any fears about her space shuttle flight.
I feel that space travel is safe now. It's not that earlier feeling that, oh, it's going to blow up or something's going to happen. The shuttle is a really good, safe program. Right at this point, I feel that I'll be okay if I go up.
It was McAuliffe's 6 colleagues who formed the backbone of this mission. 4 were veterans of previous shuttle flights. They represented a cross-section of our nation, born in North Carolina, Hawaii, Washington State, and Ohio, South Carolina, Michigan. NBC's Bob Jamieson looks at their lives in the space program.
These are the faces of the tragedy. As the Challenger astronauts walked to the shuttle this morning, dreams, not tragedy, may have been foremost in their minds. This was the first space flight for 41-year-old Gregory Jarvis, a Hughes Aircraft Company engineer.
I've been charged up since last March, and so this is kind of a culmination of a dream come true.
36-year-old Robert McNair was proud of the pictures he took in space. McNair said he had dreamed about being an astronaut when he was in high school. But growing up poor in South Carolina, McNair never thought this would come true.
You know, where I came from, you know, that wasn't the kind of thing a black kid thought about. You know, I pursued science with that in my mind, and it wasn't until recently that I saw a break to make a dream, you know, come true.
McNair is survived by his wife and a son 3, a daughter 1. 36-year-old Judy Resnick often said she had confidence in NASA's safety record, even though she had to scramble from Discovery when liftoff for her first mission was scrubbed because the engine shut down after ignition. Resnick was single, a classical pianist with a PhD in engineering who had found her life's work in space.
I'd like to stay with the space program as long as they want me as an astronaut if I can, and if not, I'd like to stay in some other capacity because I think it's very important.
39-year-old Air Force Colonel Ellison Onizuka was the first Japanese-American in space. He leaves a wife and 2 children.
I'd certainly like to stay in the program as long as I can, as long as I can contribute to it and be a part of it.
Challenger pilot Mike Smith, 40, tested planes for the Navy before he became an astronaut. This was his first space mission.
Well, I am excited, and I guess I look at it like I look at flying new airplanes.
Commander Francis Scobie was idolized in Washington State, where he grew up. This was Scobie's second shuttle mission, and he prophetically told friends that such a tragedy as today's was possible.
And we do these flights repetitively, and they get kind of a commonplaceness to them that's really not there, because each one of them is an individual technological marvel in itself, and you lose that by watching so many of them. There are a lot of things that go on during a space flight, and it's not easy to do, and it may look easy from the outside. It's not easy from the inside.
Bob Jamison, NBC News, New York.
A footnote about Krista McAuliffe. She received a gift from the space division of Caroon and Black. That's a New York insurance broker. That company gave her a $1 million personal accident policy for this shuttle flight. And an official of the company said the money should be paid to the McAuliffe family within a few days.
Incredible crowds have been reported at Color Tile stores this week. Why? Join me inside.
Could you tell us why all the excitement at Color Tile?
Oh, that's easy, darling. It's this beautiful half-price ceramic floor.
Oh, no! The reason is half price on this gorgeous mosaic tile.
Huh? It's half price on paint and wall covering that I came after. And this cuddly little blanket for buying only $80 worth.
So, what are you waiting for? Color Tile's big half-price sale on right now.
I have a small business problem. My brother-in-law, Milton, couldn't sell tea in China. So I called the small business experts at AT&T, and they showed us new ways to use long distance to open a whole new territory. What'd you sell today, Milton?
6,000 switches.
Check the inventory. I have a small business problem.
Call AT&T Long Distance Services. We can help. AT&T, the right choice.
For gas pain and bloated feeling, Gas X has the fastest relief ingredient. Look, gas bubbles in beer. Add the leading antacid, add Gas X. Gas X got rid of the gas. Gas X has the fastest reliever for your gas pain and bloated feeling.
Ta-da! X-Lax. The family friend. I almost forgot.
Good thing I didn't.
Families trust chocolated X-Lax. It's easy to take and works so gently overnight.
A good friend to have when you need it.
Gentle chocolated X-Lax.
Make it your family friend.
President Reagan learned about the explosion in space while preparing for his State of the Union speech, which was scheduled for tonight. NBC White House correspondent Chris Wallace reports on the rest of the President's Day and reaction as the news spread throughout Washington.
The president was no different from any other American today, watching the tragic news on television. Late this afternoon, he addressed the nation about what he called a traumatic experience.
Nancy and I are pained to the core by the tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger. We know we share this pain with all of the people of our country. This is truly a national loss.
Mr. Reagan talked directly to the school children who watched the launch, saying the future belongs not to the faint-hearted, but the brave. And he emphasized today's accident will not stop the space program.
We'll continue our quest in space. There will be more shuttle flights and more shuttle crews, and yes, more volunteers, more civilians, more teachers in space. Nothing ends here.
Vice President Bush and the acting head of NASA were sent to Cape Canaveral to talk to the families and launch an investigation. But officials said Mr. Reagan has full confidence in the space agency. The president was to make his State of the Union speech tonight and planned to go ahead even after the accident, saying, "You can't stop governing the nation." But congressional leaders told the White House there was no interest in politics tonight. So Mr. Reagan canceled.
Let us remember in silent prayer those who were involved in the spacecraft shuttle accident just a few minutes ago off Florida.
On Capitol Hill, the House met for a brief prayer and then adjourned. But members of Congress wanted to talk. Some had ridden the shuttle themselves, like Utah Senator Garn.
Well, it's very difficult for me to talk about it because these were my friends.
Former astronaut John Glenn spoke of the triumphs of the space program.
Sometimes, though, we aren't perfect. And then there's a tragedy that brings us back to our own human frailties.
Congressmen in charge of shuttle funding said the program will go on. but only after a full investigation.
There may be delays that could go on for as much as a year with regard to future shuttle launches.
The president was going to mention the shuttle tonight in his State of the Union speech as an example of American progress. Instead, he had to deliver a eulogy to the Challenger crew, calling them pioneers on the last frontier. Chris Wallace, NBC News, at the White House.
This terrible event has touched the hearts of Americans all across the country, of course, and we'll have a report on how this nation reacted when we return.
Now there's an antacid that's ideal for us women, Nucalcitrel. It not only neutralizes more acid than Malox Plus or regular Mylanta, it gives us even more calcium than Tums. Nucalcitrel. It's the ideal antacid for women.
We asked 1,000 doctors if stranded on an island, which would they want? Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol, Advil, or Bayer? More doctors chose Bayer, nearly 2 to 1 over extra strength Tylenol. Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
Minwax makes wood beautiful. Minwax brings out wood's rich, warm glow, so it's as beautiful to look at as it is to touch. Wood finish by Minwax penetrates deep into wood, so it's easy to get outstanding results. And when topped with our own polyurethane, Minwax protects against life's hard knocks and tough spills, letting wood's natural beauty show through. Minwax makes wood beautiful.
Why change a good thing? That's what I asked when Oldsmobile redesigned the Delta 88. Oh, then I drove it. Wait till you see how it handles. There's front-wheel drive, too. But inside, plenty of room to stretch. Our Delta 88 is the family car that didn't forget the family. Some things never change.
Borrow the car, Dad?
Some things never change.
There is a special feeling in Oldsmobile.
From coast to coast, people watched replays of the Shuttle Challenger's destruction in the skies today, and they reacted with disbelief and sorrow.
There could have been a tearing when the rocket went into great acceleration, its fastest point.
The only thing I could think about with those kids in that auditorium and the trauma they must be going, and what a shock it must be for them to watch something like that happen to their teacher. That's what I was thinking of.
Really makes you sick to your stomach is the only way that I can explain my feeling. I was sick to my stomach.
I was hurt. As an American, I was hurt. And I still feel it in my heart that we've had a great loss.
I felt like every one of them was my sons and daughters. I really did.
Triumph has marked and tragedy has marred America's space effort in the past. With each success, new heights were set. With each failure came a resolve to continue. And as NBC's Gary Cutley tells us now, the American spirit remains undaunted by the magnitude of even today's disaster.
From the moment the Wright brothers proved it could be done, challenging the law of gravity has captured the imagination and exacted a human price. The Hindenburg disaster came to symbolize that.
Oh, the folks between us, this is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world.
Man was not meant to fly, skeptics said, but did. Was not meant to break the sound barrier, but did. Flew higher and faster until there was only space to conquer.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
The space program, too, began with failures, to some a warning that man had met his limit. But technology triumphed. John Glenn orbited the Earth and came home a hero. For behind the cold technology, it has always been the human spirit which has driven man into space. There were losses. 3 astronauts killed during a launch pad exercise in 1967. And there was the ultimate triumph.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And then there was today, an epitaph for 7 Americans, written large and hauntingly on a beautiful blue sky. Senator John Glenn has been there.
I guess in our human existence there is triumph and there is tragedy. And man tries many things. And we advance as a whole human race because we because we succeed most of the time. We make advances, whether it's in space or engineering or health or medical things. Sometimes, though, we aren't perfect. And then there's a tragedy that brings us back to our own human frailties.
But as we contemplate our frailty, we have also been fascinated by pictures from Uranus and its moons 2 billion miles away. Pictures from Voyager showing new worlds to discover and explore. Can there be any doubt that one day, despite the risk, man will follow? Garrick Utley, NBC News.
We'll have a special report on this Challenger tragedy tonight on NBC at 10, 9 Central Time.
This is beef burgundy from Light and Elegant. This is beef burgundy from Lean Cuisine. Shrimp Creole from Light and Elegant. Shrimp Creole from Lean Cuisine. Sliced turkey, Light and Elegant. Sliced turkey, Lean Cuisine. Light and Elegant just wanted you to know what you've been missing with Lean Cuisine. 8 entrees you only get from Light and Elegant. The choice is yours. Beef Stroganoff from Lean Cuisine or beef Stroganoff from Light and Elegant.
Coldwell Banker is America's largest full-service real estate company. And these days, you don't get bigger unless you do it better. Coldwell Banker, the home sellers, a member of the Sears Financial Network.
Tomorrow morning on Today, a complete report on the explosion without warning of the Space Shuttle Challenger. What does it mean for the future of the space program? Tomorrow morning on Today.
Senator Stanton!
Yes?
You've got dirty dentures.
No! I just soaked them.
Soaking's not enough. That's why your dentures are dirtier than they should be. Brushing with Denture Cream cleans denture film much better. Look, when tested against Efferdent, Denture Cream denture toothpaste gets denture film much cleaner.
Nearly twice as clean.
So don't get caught with dirty dentures. Brush them clean with minty-tasting Denture Cream or mouthwash fresh Denture Gel.
It's a winner.
Now, if you'll permit me, some personal thoughts. As we try, all of us, to rise above our grief, we struggle for words, for thoughts that may get us through this dark day, but everything seems to be so inadequate. What plays again and again in my mind is this. Great enterprises require great risks. The men and women who died today knew that. They were the risk takers. They believed in the physical and intellectual challenge of space flight, and in that, they were an extension of all of us. We rode with them. They gave courage to even the most timid among us. Now, we share the grief of their friends and families. This shock will pass, of course, as great as it is. Their spirit will live on. Their adventurous ways will be picked up and carried on by others. And the frontiers of space and knowledge will be expanded. And finally, to those families, as we shared your pride, we share your sorrow. I'm Tom Brokaw. Good night from all of us at NBC News.
Tonight on an all-new A-Team. All these rich folks are crooks. Hannibal gets teed up at some high-class creeps.
We caddies are a rough bunch.
Bingo. Tonight.
The lover who transformed a backward nation into modern Russia and made a peasant woman a queen. Peter the Great, Sunday.
Up next on the scene at 6, 7 crew members aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger are killed instantly when the shuttle explodes, and we will have a series of reports next on the scene at 6.
These stories and more news coming up next on the scene at 6.
This Tennessee Homecoming Moment is brought to you by the Provident Life and Accident Insurance Company and the Tennessee Business Roundtable.
It's time to stop and look at where we're going. It's time to stop and look at where we've been. You can see it all from Jonesboro to